They're trying to tell you that if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, that it's too late for you. They're lying. Don't believe them. Listen, let me read from one of my books, something that I just saw. It says, it's in the introduction, and it says, "Look, I've taken the grapes off the stems in the grocery store so I could afford them. I've couch surfed. I've crowdsourced. I bought $1 donuts so I could sit in an all night donut shop when I didn't have anywhere else to go. And I've taught myself how to book countrywide music tours. I built a magazine from scratch. I've gotten myself backstage and on stage at some of the most influential business conferences in the world. I've hustled my whole life." I just found that paragraph when I was looking through, and it reminded me of so many things. So many things. I've been in such precarious situations for most of my life, and they had to do with money, had to do with not having it mostly. Before I was 35, and I'm 44 now, before I was 35, I didn't make more than $20,000 in any given year. And I promise you, $20,000 was a good year. It was usually more like $5,000 for the entire year. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart or I was lazy or anything like that. It was a lot of things. And some of those things I know that you can relate to. And you feel like, if you're like me, you feel like, I'm too smart for this. I'm too nice for this, you know? I'm too much of a good person to be in these circumstances. And it's very, very likely that you're not completely destitute, that you are probably working at a job, you're making ends meet. You may even have vacation money and new furniture money and new bag money, right? You might even have that, but you feel like there's more out there. And all these different signals and signs are telling you that it's probably over. It's probably you are where you are. And you can't really understand why that person and that person over there and this person you heard about and that person you know, why they get to go on the luxurious vacations anytime they want to and take their family, why they pull up in the cars that they want and that you want, why they get to take sabbaticals and take time off and just seem to have a time and financial freedom that you don't feel like you have. You may even have someone that you're taking care of. Maybe you're taking care of a child or more than one child. Maybe you're taking care of a family member. You know, for a lot of us, if we're in our 30s, 40s, especially that 40 and 50 range, we are taking care of multiple generations, younger and older. There are a lot of articles about this that started to come out in the last couple of years because people were feeling very alone in that moment, in that circumstance. But we are not alone. Many of us are going through that, and many of us have over over time. That's just been what it was. And I think more so than ever, we're taking on those burdens. So we may be making six figures at work, but it doesn't feel like we're making six figures at work. It feels like we're always catching up, always making ends meet, and just head above water. And that feeling of head above water, or the feeling of drowning, I can't even get to head above water. I can see it, but I can't get there. My chin is still lower, right? That feeling of drowning or that feeling of just getting by, we're tired of it. You may be feeling very tired of that. And you want this freedom for yourself. You want this freedom for other people in your life. And you just want to relax and rest. And it's stressful. Money is so stressful. Not having money is very stressful. I say, people say money doesn't buy happiness. I say that's probably true, but it rents some happiness. It does rent you some. Because a lot of times people are depressed, or that word is used, And it's really like this stress from life that is very real. It's not coming from a chemical imbalance. It's not coming from, in some cases, right? It's not coming from you're just sensitive. Sometimes you're depressed because you don't have any money. And I've seen it in other people that I care about, and I've seen it in myself. And since I kind of turned things around, started turning things around in 2015, if you're not familiar, I got my first investor in a venture fund called Backstage. And I went on to raise $30 million, and I've deployed capital. I've invested in companies and in the hundreds of companies. And they're all led by women or people of color or LGBTQ plus, et cetera, like all of the underdogs and the underestimated. And there have been times throughout that really like movie like experience that I've been experiencing the past 9 years that I still didn't have enough, because the way that the model works is that for a venture fund is that you raise money for your venture fund and you get a small percentage of that to spend on expenses to operate the fund. So it's just like when a founder, you see that they raised $1 million or $5 million. That's not going into their bank account. That's not going into their pocket. Not any close, even close to that. They're paying for, if they're responsible, the next few months and years of running their business. And for a fund, it's even more so, because you're getting this small amount. It's usually 2% each year of the total amount you've raised. Now, the thing is, though, because I raised over so much time, even though it seems like it was fast and it's millions of dollars, true. I won't take that away from myself. It was spread out. So I would get, I'd raise maybe 1 million in one year, two in the next year, three in the next year, and so on. And if you multiply that by 2% or divide it by 50, these numbers are relatively low to run an entire fund where you have to have employees and overhead and travel and keep raising and doing your thing. So I many times still did not, I was never balling out of control. So what I started to do was I said, I know that the traditional way is to run this fund and to go out and invest in companies 100%. But I got to eat and I got to take care of my family. I have multiple generations I'm taking care of. And at the same time, I've always been an entrepreneur. And the entrepreneurs that I'm investing in, that I invested in the past decade, they look, they respect an investor who's also an entrepreneur. I see it. I talk to them. I talk to thousands of founders. They respect someone who's gone through what they've gone through. So I said, let me go back to my entrepreneurial roots, and I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and I'm going to make money, and I'm not going to, do it for the sale. I'm going to do it for, this is going to be the muscle that I flex, that I learn and I get better and better at as an entrepreneur. So I can pay for the bills that I have and kind of have a little bit of freedom. So I did that a few years in, and it was very smart for me to do. And I'm very happy that I did it because it made me become a better investor. Getting back to that entrepreneur vibe made me a better investor. And today, I still have a venture fund, and the venture fund still makes investments, but I don't spend a lot of time making investments. What I spend a lot of time doing is spending time with you and saying, look, how do we get you to where you can generate revenue, where you can bring in your own income, where you're not waiting around for an investor to think that you're worthy of their investment? How do we get you there? That's where I spend most of my time these days, because I've seen both sides of it. And I think, I keep ringing this bell, this alarm, year after year after year, that nobody is coming to save us. No investors coming to save you. Even the government in the country is not coming to save us. And we need to have the ability to make money when we want and when we need, at the drop of a hat. We need to have the ability it's like a reflex. Oh, I want to go on this trip. Let me go ahead and make a couple of phone calls. Let me set up a couple of phone calls. Or I want to buy this thing that is important to me, this equipment for something. I want to level up. Let me go ahead and set a couple of meetings up and make that happen. Oh, I want to take 3 months off of my day job because I like my job. I'm fulfilled by my job, but it doesn't run me, right? Let me go ahead and take advantage of that unlimited paid time off. But I also want to be able to move around, and I want to have a safety net, right? Let me go ahead and make 3 videos that I know are exactly the type of videos I need to make and put that into my process because I've done it before. These are the things I'm talking about. It's the ability to not look over at someone else and say, okay, I'm doing my 9 to 5 thing. I'm a good person. I'm a nice person. I'm a smart person, but I'm not anywhere close to where I want to be. To stop looking over there and to say, oh, it's about 10,000 o'clock. It's about whatever time I need it to be, whatever amount I needed that to come through. Oh, it's not just about making money for that moment, for that thing, for superficially. It's also like, hey, I wanna make money so I can make this investment, so I can have ownership. Ownership is where the real wealth happens. Think about anybody that you know who's very, very wealthy and stays wealthy. It's because they have ownership. They own parts of companies or whole companies. Even if they don't run them themselves, they own parts of companies. Like I have ownership in a lot of companies. They own buildings, real estate, dirt, the land that the real estate is on. They have something going on there, maybe art, maybe things that are pretty boring, that they have ownership of, but they're going out there. So there's some people I know who are moving around in the shadows. You don't know about them. You may know their name. Like they may even be somebody who is on TV or something. They live out here in LA. I live in LA. I see them out and about. And I happen to know because I have these conversations, I'm in these rooms. I happen to know, oh, that person is taking their paycheck from that TV show. And after their living expenses, they're putting it into this thing over here where they're buying pieces of companies. They're buying pieces of land. They're building and have ownership. Another part of ownership is IP, so intellectual property. It's a big one when you're thinking about people like Oprah and Martha Stewart, all of these people. Look to them, even if you're younger and they weren't really your generation, study them. We don't need to just study the Warren Buffetts of the world and the very specific people. Study Oprah and Martha Stewart. These are very wealthy women, and it's because not only do they own other parts of other people's companies, not only do they own real estate, not only do they own art and other things that, over time they figured out in those rooms, but they have their own intellectual property. The things that came from their thoughts and their ideas, and they put them in a container and said, this is mine. I came up with this, and I'm going to protect it with trademarks and copywriting and copyrights and all of that. And very famously for both of them, they negotiated deals when people underestimated them. They negotiated deals when people didn't believe that they would become anything big and that would be worth it. So they thought these other people thought they were getting over, and they kind of shoot them out the room, and then they became who they are. It reminds me too of something. I'll tell you this quick story. A few years ago, before, like 10, 12, 13 years ago, when I was so broke, I was living out of an Airbnb, barely scraping by, was going through a really bad relationship. It was just not a good time. And I was desperate, and I hate being desperate, but I felt desperate. I allowed my mindset to have desperation rather than abundance and looking at this the right way, which is why I'm trying to tell so many people to change that. And I was going to take a few $1,000s from this man in Europe. There was a man in Europe I was going to take a few $1,000s from. And the exchange was he was going to get a percentage of my future salary for like 25 years. In that moment, I don't think he was a bad person. I still don't think he was a bad person at all. In fact, I do remember there was some pushback on his part, but I was like, man, I need the money. I don't know anything else to leverage. Can we do this? And we did it. And we were gonna do it, right? And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get a few $1,000s. I'm gonna be, oh, I can breathe. Very, very short term thinking. But you know how that feels, right? So then I call this Black woman who is a director, and her name is Angela Robinson. She's a Black woman director, film director. Um, and she doesn't know this. I've never spoken to her about this, since. I don't even know if she knows what's happened to me in the last 10 years. But I called her because I had worked on a project with her as a production assistant. So I had her number. She was very kind and gave people her number. And I a year later called her, and I was calling her because I wanted her to also invest. I was calling it investing. I wanted her to invest in my future, essentially. And I was ready for her to say, "Oh, that's a very interesting deal, and you already have somebody else who's an investor doing that. Okay, let's talk." Right? No, no, no. She got me straight real quick. She said, "I will not do that," and she said, "Don't you do that? Don't you dare do that with the other person." And I was like, and I remember the room I was in. I remember I was upstairs. I was in Portland. I remember where I was sitting on the bed. I remember what the weather was like because it was one of the most important conversations of my life. She said, "Arlan, you have no idea how valuable you will be." And again, that would have been me in my early 30s. I was in my early 30s, maybe 32. So far along enough where I felt like I should be much further along. I know you can relate, but so young, not understanding at all how young I was at that age. And if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, you know what I'm talking about. 32? 32? It's a baby. It's a baby. So she said it in the way she said it, the inflection and tone of her voice, the sincerity of it, almost pleading with me, but also very sober and very like staunch in her belief. I listened to her and I didn't do the deal. And I, if we had kept that same deal with the man, who again I think is a kind person ultimately, if we had done that deal, the $5,000 or $10,000 that he was going to give me in that moment would have been worth today would have been worth at least $500,000. And over the next 10 years, who knows, millions of dollars based on the trajectory of what I own and what will kind of play out over time. He would have received a lot of money that was mine because I didn't understand my value at that time. So if that story helps just one person understand their value today and the potential of what they could become, it'll be worth that turmoil in my life at that time. And after that, I went on for another 3 years, 2 or 3 years, without anything to help me. Still feeling underwater, so sad, depressed, worried, stressed, all of it. Wasn't like I made that decision and then all of a sudden abundance appeared on my doorstep. But that decision helped me keep the abundance that would appear. If you're still with me, I want you to put in the comments, I'm still here. I'm still with you, because I want to know if you made it this far. If this is resonating for you, make sure you subscribe. make sure you're subscribed. Tell other people about it. Send this video to one other person who needs to hear it. It is not too late for you. It's a joke to think it's too late for you. If you're in your 70s, like my mom is 75 today. Like this year, she's 75. She started her own eyewear line at 74. Let me see. I have some of them here. Look, I'm going to show you. This is one of them. She has 6 designs. This is one of them. And let's see if I'll show you another one. One more of the 6. This is my mom's eyewear design. Sunglasses and prescription, everything. She partnered with a group. And at 74, in May of 2023, I think that was when it happened, she launched her eyewear line. And then for the full year, she went around the country, and once a month or so, she would set up a table at different conferences where I was speaking or where she was invited, or markets. She would set up her table and she would sell from her table at 74, going into 75. And a year later, she sold out of her first run. And her first run was about 1,000 pairs of glasses. And she just had such a great time. And she kind of opened up, and it was like a flower. Like I saw her bloom. And the glasses are in the hundreds of dollars each. And she split it with the group that she worked with. And so she would, before you say, oh, well, you sent her off on all these things, she was making her money back and profit in her business. So she would say, okay, does it make sense to fly out to this? Does it make sense to have this? I definitely helped her with the audience, but people absolutely love these classes. And I won't stay there too long, but I just wanted to say it's not too late. She wrote a book in her 50s. She had never written anything like that before. And we were more broke than I can describe to you. But it was just something that was in her, and she did it. And she did it over months and months. And it's a beautiful book. You can look up her name on Amazon, Arlan Sims. Look up The Bad Men Are Coming. That's the name of the book. Still available, unless it sells out because of this video. But the point is, it's not too late. The point is, as long as you have a dream and any kind of gumption, you can have financial freedom. You can have time freedom, which is even more exciting, where you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Wait, let me stop you there. Let's go back to that. People ask me, like, how do you do all that you do? And then also, like, don't you feel pressure to ... When I hit about 42, took a while, but when I hit about 42 is when I was like, wait a second. One of my tenets and my things that are non-negotiable is that I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do. There are some exceptions when it comes to somebody else's health or my own health, or, I don't like needles or, going to the doctor, but I'm going to do that, right? But when it comes to just like day-to-day business and somebody's feelings, no. People have a habit of telling me what to do and expecting me. When I say people, I mean people in this business, in investing business, tech business. They have a habit of thinking that they've employed me. And so I often have to remind them that no, I work for myself. And just because you're in an urgent situation, like your emergency is not my problem, right? So about 42, I just decided no, like I don't want to do that. So therefore I'm not going to. That's something that I highly recommend. But it's easier to do that and have that as a mantra if you have money that you can tap into at any point. It's easier to do that if when you look at your bank account, it's not negative. It's just the truth. Going back to what I said earlier, money does not buy happiness, but it rents you some. Put rents you happiness. Money rents happiness in the comments if you're still here. Money rents happiness. It rents it. Money's not the most important thing in the world. I have turned down so much money while being so broke. I can't even describe. I had to write 2 separate books over 4 years to describe the multiple times that I have turned down bad money. I have high integrity. I am able to sleep at night. I have turned down hundreds of thousands and even more when I felt that the person with the money was not the right person. I've turned down this year millions and millions and millions of dollars from one entity because I did not agree that the person was right for me. I felt that they were not okay to work with. Millions, tens of millions. And this is the first time I'm saying that publicly. It'll be in the 3rd book, I bet you. But the point of it is, I can still have integrity. I can still sleep well at night. I can still feel like I am me and have time and financial freedom. You get to make these decisions when you have a bank account that is healthy, that you can look at it and say, oh, I'm good. You get to make those types of decisions. You should make them all the time. Like I've been making them since I was poor, but there's a freedom in your ideals when you have your own money, when you have what Pink calls FU money. She has a bank account that's an FU account. So she can just walk out of any situation that she wants, personal or business. You have that. Now, how do you get it? Well, there are some simple steps to get it. And that's why I've been every single day stacking and stacking that information on YouTube, stacking and stacking that information in these videos, in these archives, these videos that normally would take a week or a month to produce if I went through all of the steps that most people would. But instead, I'm saying, let me get this to you out every day so you can have this information. So if you are enjoying this video, you can go to the next video and watch the next video and the next one. In fact, I'm going to have a video that is perfect for you to watch in a minute here. But how do you do it? How do you have that time freedom and that financial freedom? There's one way I'll tell you about briefly, and you can take this advice and just run with it. Just go try this today. Like just go try it and then come back and tell me if it worked for you. Just this is what you do. You create an offer. You say, I'm going to do something, I'm going to help somebody, one person. I'm going to help one person do something that helps them. It's going to take 24 to 72 hours to complete. So it may be a phone call that we have, a Zoom. It may be a full day that I spend with them and I go into their place and we just go through their books, we go through everything and we figure it out. It may be something physical. I'm going to help them with some sort of transformation physically. It may be something to do with their business or to do with their child's education or with their own education. Something I'm going to do. Think of something. Think of something. It's not in stone. It's not what you have to do for the rest of your life. So just think of that one thing that you can do. How can you help someone? Can you help someone set up their Calendly? Can you help someone set up their membership? Can you help somebody with a logo? Can you help someone with their YouTube channel setup? Have you learned something recently that is simple to you, but would save someone else time? And it would help them make money. Those two things. Ooh, find something that would help somebody save time and help them make money, and you'll never be broke again. You're going to figure that out. And this is an experiment. So you're just going to you're not going to spend more than 3 hours deciding. Like truly, this is what we're going to do. Okay. So you're going to decide on that. You're going to charge $500, $1,000. You're going to just decide. Is it going to be $500 or is it going to be $1,000? You decide right now. In the next 3 hours, you decide. Okay, it's going to be $500. Cool. Then you're going to find someone, either who's in your phone or on social, or a friend or someone who's next to you, whatever. You're going to find someone and you're going to tell them, I charge $500 to do this thing, and I do it within 24 hours, or it takes me a day to complete it for you. So I'm either going to do it for you, or I'm going to help you do it because you're making that decision. And for you, I'm going to do it for free. If you do it, if you let me do it right now, like this week or today, and I'm going to take what normally costs $500, I'm going to do it for free. The only thing I want in exchange is I want you to give a testimonial afterwards, if you liked it. Find that person, do that, then do it for them. Either do the thing that you do for them or teach them how to do it, or whatever the offer is that you had created, do that for free for that person. Then once it's done, get a testimonial from that person. Either have them record on their phone, or have them write something, or write something for them and have them approve it, edit it for their voice. These are simple things. Do it. Do that. Do that. And now you have that testimonial. Also, think about what you did in that process. Did you get on a call with them? Like, think about the steps you took to complete and to deliver that offer. Did you get them on? Did they have to get on a call with you? Did they send you a form? Did you have them fill something out? How can you make it as simple for them as possible? When you sell someone something, and this is for free for that one person, but pretending that it's for sale. When you sell someone something, especially if it's higher ticket, costs more than $1,000 or something, 500. The first thing you want to think about is, how do I make this as easy for them as humanly possible for me to deliver? So when you sell something to someone, you don't want them to have to do a bunch of work. That's why, if you sell them a course, you want them to have like a really soft landing into that course where they're not like, oh my God, this is such a crazy course. You want to have a video that says like, this is a long course, it's very thorough, but all you have to do is spend the next 30 minutes just watching me and listening to me. That's your homework for today. And then we can worry about the rest later. And you ease them into it. But if it's a do it for you, which I suggest is either one-on-one coaching for this experiment. One-on-one coaching is really, really, really ideal. Or a do it for you service where you just do the thing. Make it really easy, document how you delivered it, write out step by step, I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, and look at those steps. How many steps are there? Are there 5 steps, 8 steps, 10? Go write it down and then cross out about a third of those steps. So if you wrote down 9 steps, cross out 3 of them to make it as simple as possible. Just something simple for you and something simple for them. Now you have your testimonial, you have points on board because you've actually accomplished this thing, you did this thing for the person. So you might even have screenshots of something, if it's something that you delivered, you may have pictures, you may have a description. Now you're going to go out and you're going to drive traffic to a landing page that helps people get more people get that service. Your traffic can come from YouTube, it can come from Instagram, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, can come from your mailing list if you already have one. It can come from you walking door to door. I've done door to door, by the way. I've done, when I had a magazine, I walked door to door to every company I could, small business I could in Dallas to sell advertising. You can do this. You can go to an event, look up what's events happening that's like for entrepreneurs or for the target audience you have, for moms, for cat lovers, for sports aficionados, for stamp collectors, whoever your target audience is who wants this thing that you're offering. See if you can meet with some of them in person at somebody else's event and start getting to know each other. Whatever's fastest and easiest in this experiment. The point of it is there's no excuses. You can't have an excuse for this. So you're going to go and you're going to have traffic, and you send traffic. You don't have to pay for advertising, you have to do any of that. You just make a video, make some videos, post some things on LinkedIn. Do it. If it's not working, do it more. Like, come on. I slept on the floor of an airport and now I'm here. So let's do it. So you're going to do that. And then you're going to send them to a landing page. And that landing page, my suggestion is that landing page is a free membership. And you can look in the description of this video and see how to do that. And I teach you all about that. That's my suggestion. But you can also do things like carrd.com. That gives you beautiful landing pages. I think you can get some for free, and maybe you have to pay a little bit, maybe a few dollars if you need to. You can link that to a Stripe account. So make sure you have a Stripe account or a PayPal or Bill.com or some way for people to wire you, whatever. In this day and age, you can make that happen overnight. So you can do that. And if you've already made excuses, if you're this far in, if you're like, oh, I can't do that because of that, this isn't for you. I'm gonna give you a little tough love. If you've already made excuses and you're like, I can't do those things you just said, this isn't for you then. Because you can do this. You can. Okay, so you're gonna do that. And then you're going to send traffic. You're going to talk about something, send people to it. You see what I just did? I said, go to the description go to the link in my description. I'm sending traffic to a landing page, which is a membership. Simple. Or you might even say, forget the free membership for today for this experiment. Let me do it even easier. I'm going to put a link to my Calendly over here. I'm going to put that in the description. And for this experiment, I'm going to have one day open, 4 spots. And I'm going to know that some people are going to be like, they're going to ghost. They're not going to show up. Some people are going to be fake. And then some people are not going to be able to afford it. But there's going to be that one person. And, I say out of 10, you're going to get 1 in your first group. So maybe not even 4. You may have 10 spots. Thursday and Friday, boom. Monday and Tuesday, boom. Sunday and Wednesday, boom. 10 spots total. Out of those 10 spots, get one person to pay $500 or $1,000, whatever number you came up with earlier. Get one person to say, because you're showing them what you just did for somebody else. You're not going to say you did it for free. You're going to say, I just helped Cindy with this, and this is what we did, da, 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 da. This is the outcome. This is what I can do. And you're going to keep it moving. And once you learn how to do that, once you conquer sales, and I'm going to show you a video that's going to help you conquer sales. So don't miss that. Once you conquer sales, you can turn on the faucet whenever you want to. You can say, you no longer say, okay, I get to go on that vacation after I've worked 6 months at this job, 9 to 5. You get to say, oh, today is Monday. I want to go to France on Thursday. So I'm going to get on 3, 4, 5 calls Tuesday and Wednesday. That's what you get to do when you conquer sales. And if you want to know more about that, exactly what to say on these sales calls, exactly what to do, you're going to go to this next video. It's going to tell you exactly how to make your first and your 10th and your 100th sale.